Hi, I'm Henry. I'm a Bible student. I enjoy studying the Bible because there's always something new to learn. Let's have a word of prayer and I'll give you an example. Dear Lord, thank you for your word. Thank you for your love. Thank you for Jesus. Have your Spirit fill us as we study your word and show us what you'd have us to know. We praise you and we thank you in Jesus' dear name. Amen. I recently learned of a principle called the principle of first mention. That you study a subject from where it's first mentioned in the scriptures, and then you follow it all the way through to the book of Revelation. And the first subject that I studied this way was the judgment hour. In Revelation, it says that the hour of God's judgment has come. So I wanted to know how long is a judgment hour. So to find out how long a judgment hour was, I had to find out how long is an hour. In Genesis chapter 1, it says, evening and morning, the first day. Genesis 1:5. So God made the evening and the morning, the first day, and we know a day has 24 literal hours. So, if I want to know the length of an hour, I would say that that's 1/24th of a day. But is that the right answer? Because if the judgment hour has come and it was only 1/24th of a day, the judgment hour would have ended ages ago. So that may not be the right answer. Look a little bit deeper. And God said to Adam in Genesis 2:17, in the day that you eat thereof, you shall surely die. Well, when Adam ate of the forbidden fruit, in the day that he ate, he was supposed to die. Did Adam die in the literal 24 hours that he ate of the fruit? No. Well, then a day must have more meanings than literal 24 hours. Ezekiel 4:6 tells us that a day can be a year. Did Adam die in the year that he ate of the fruit? Well, no. According to Genesis 5:5, all the days of Adam were 930 years, and he died. Well, now, Adam was to die in the day that he ate, and he died at 930 years old. So a day must be longer than 930 years in order for Adam to die in the day that he ate. As we get to the Psalms, David tells us that a day is with the Lord as 1,000 years. And Peter reaffirms that. He says a day is with the Lord as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as a day. So it was a millennial day that Adam died. Well, then how long is a judgment hour? We would think it was 1/24th of a day. That's around 40 years. We have to study judgment. In the writings of Moses, under the Mosaic system, the cleansing of the sanctuary or the Great Day of Atonement occurred on the 10th day of the 7th Jewish month, Leviticus 16:29-34. So the 10th day of the Jewish month, that falls in September, October, on our Gregorian calendars. We would have to ask, was the Judgment Day, Day of Atonement, all of the 24-hour period, or was it mostly the daylight hours? Is for Day of Judgment, Leviticus 23:27. In the day when God shall judge the secrets of men by Jesus Christ, Romans to 16. Moses sat to judge the people from the morning until the evening. Exodus 18:13. So when Moses, and he's the one that was writing about the Day of Atonement, when he judged the people, he judged them in the daylight hours. On the Day of Atonement, the high priest ministered in the sanctuary during the daylight hours, from morning till evening. All right. Well, if the judgment hours were during the daylight hours, and Jesus said, "Are there not 12 hours in the day?" John 11:9, it tells us that a judgment hour would be 1/12 of a 1,000-year day. That would be 83 years, 4 months. That is how long a judgment hour should be. Remember, Revelation 14:7 said, "Fear God and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come, and worship him that made heaven and earth, and the sea and the fountains of waters." Revelation 14:7. So if a judgment hour is 1/12 of 1,000 years, then the hour of judgment that came in Revelation 14:7 should last for 83 years, 4 months. How can we know if this happened or if it didn't happen? Well, the answer to that is very easy. Back in the 1800s, there was a Bible student by the name of William Miller. He studied Daniel 8:14 that said, "Unto 2,300 days, and then shall the sanctuary be cleansed." And he knew that the decree to cleanse the sanctuary was issued in 457 BC. And he knew Ezekiel 4:6 that a day with the Lord is as a year. And so he knew from Daniel 8:14 the 2,300 days were 2,300 years. So beginning at 457 BC, when the king of Persia issued his decree, he counted down. The beginning of the judgment hour was in 1843. And he preached it. He told everybody, Christ is coming in 1843. But Christ didn't come in 1843. So he went back and studied again. And he found out that, yes, the 2,300 years is right. Yes, the 457 BC start date was right. But when BC went to AD, there was no year zero. None. No year zero at all. So he found out that his 2,300 years really were only 2,299 when they ended in 1843. So he added the extra year to bring it to 1844. That was the year zero that was non-existent when it went from BC time to AD time. And so he preached to everybody, Christ is coming in 1844 on the Day of Atonement, which is October 22nd that year. Wonderful message! But Christ didn't come. Wait a minute. What was wrong? Well, he looked at it. He had thought that the cleansing of the sanctuary would be the cleansing of the world by fire at Christ's advent. That's what people believed in that day. And that belief had encouraged him to make the wrong event. Had the right day, but the wrong event. So he went back to the Bible. And in Hebrews, he found out that God built a sanctuary in heaven that wasn't built by hands. And that was what was to be cleansed. Jesus had also said that before he comes, he would judge the world and he would confess the saint's name before his Father and before the angels, so that when he came, he would have his reward with him. Now, Miller went back and told everybody Jesus wasn't supposed to come. He was supposed to cleanse the sanctuary in heaven. But unfortunately, people said, Miller, 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 Miller. You got it wrong in 1843. You got it wrong in 1844. And now you're trying to change the event so that you didn't get it wrong. Now, a lot of people stopped following his teachings at that time because Miller was wrong twice. Well, let's check Miller, and let's check Bible prophecy, and let's find out what the Bible really says. Fear God and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come, and worship him that made heaven and earth, and the sea and the fountains of water. Revelation 14:7. The hour of his judgment came, according to Miller, on 22 October 1844. Okay? A judgment hour is to be 1/12 of 1,000 years. That would be 83 years, 4 months. It began October 22, 1844. Then the judgment would end February 22, 1928. Did it begin at that date, and did it end at that date? The Roman Church is the church that began from Christ and his disciples. The gospel was taken to Rome, and then Rome became the premier church, and it started to run the whole show. Peter says that the judgment begins at the house of God. The house of God had moved to Rome, so the Roman Church was the house of God in 1844. The judgment hour of the dead began 22 October 1844. And as Peter said, judgment must begin at the house of God. 1 Peter 4:17. It is written of the church in Sardis, Thou hast a name that thou livest and art dead. Revelation 3:1. When did the Roman Church die? It died in 1798. And it was dead in 1844. Was it dead for an entire hour from October 22, 1844 to February 22, 1928? Yes, it was dead for the entire hour. When did it become alive again? Well, shortly after the judgment hour of the dead ended in 1928, there was a tarrying time, according to Habakkuk 2:2. The tarrying time was the time allotted for the church to be revived. Mussolini began the restoration process in February of 1929. It ran through June of that year. So by June of 1929, the dead Roman Church was alive again. But notice, during the entire judgment hour, 22 October 1844, 83 years, 4 months, to February 22, 1928, the dead church was dead for the entire hour. Then came the tarrying time. Then, when the Roman Church was alive again, the Day of Atonement in 1929 was on the 14th of October. The 83 years, 4 months allotted to the living Roman Church that was alive in June of 1929 began on the Day of Atonement, the 14th of October, 1929, and the entire 83 years and 4 months ended on 14 February 2013. Well, now that means that something had to happen to the Roman Church in February of 2014, and it did. Revelation 13 says that the beast had 7 heads. The Roman Church had 7 heads during this 83-year, 4-month period. It had Pope Pius XI, Pius XII, John 23, Paul VI, John Paul I, John Paul II, and Benedict. 1 pope at a time, 7 popes, 7 heads. Then, when the judgment hour of the living ended on the 14th of February, 2013, Pope Benedict resigned. Now, the Roman Church has 2 popes, Pope Benedict the Retired and Pope Francis. Now we can be sure that the time allotted for the judgment hour of the dead and the judgment hour of the living has come and gone. We are now in the final sealing time. May the Lord bless you in his service. That's my prayer.